Okay, it's our first podcast. We're
Good morning.
doing it finally. I'm really excited. I have a lot of questions for Julie, so.
And God knows I got a lot of answers, so buckle up.
All right, and we have a very, very special guest, my friend, Julie's friend. She's become like family basically every time I freaking see her.
She is a VIP here. And look at this beautiful woman. Look at this beautiful woman. Look at her smile. This is not how we met you.
Oh, man.
Tell us about when we met you, how you showed up here when we met you.
It's a little emotional.
Yeah.
I was in a wheelchair. I was 106 pounds, gray in the face, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. My body was turning against me, and I didn't know what to do.
I remember when you came here, you were wheeled in here by your daddy. Like, that is, as a parent, I can't think of anything sadder to watch my daughter deteriorate and not know what's going on. And her primary care doctor said, you got to go see Dr. Bach. And he actually called over here.
Yeah, I was sitting there. I was in his exam room, and Dr. Miranda said, give me 1 second. He called. He said, I have this young lady here. This is what's going on. Can you see her? He said, come on over. And you guys saw me that day.
That day.
That day.
That's what we do here at the Arthritis Center. And it's interesting because Dr. Bach, did an exam. He looked at all of your stuff, and he said, I know what you have.
Within 20 minutes of talking to me, he knew what was, and I finally had an answer as to why my world was falling apart.
Yeah. So it's such a moving story because I actually, had our office not had an advocacy team, you would not have gotten what you needed.
You guys saved my life.
Well,
you guys saved my life. If it wasn't for you guys fighting with the insurance companies and oh, I'm sorry.
No, it is emotional. But here's what she ended up having was a very rare disease, and we've actually saw it 3 times within that calendar year.
That's crazy.
3 different people, and we haven't seen that in this practice in 9 years.
That's what he said.
Yeah, yeah. And it is it's a disease that your body is literally eating itself. Okay. And Dr. Bach knew after talking to her for 20 minutes and talking to her primary care, I know what she has and I know what the treatment is. Okay. So then I knew once he sent me the order that I would have to go to battle. And boy, did we battle with Cigna. Cigna wanted nothing to do with this. But I knew that this lady needed IVIG treatment and she needed it 5 days in a row. And I told her, you and I are going to work on this because you're getting this done in this calendar year, because Cigna would like nothing more to push you off into the next calendar year where you could pay whatever your deductible was for it.
You told me it was your personal goal to get me approved and treated before Christmas, and you did it. You did it.
And slowly she started to get better. And Dr. Bach said, and he makes the calls on if you're a Dr. Bach only patient. She was a Dr. Bach only patient because she was so complex. And at that time, he was only seeing new patients. But he said, this lady is my patient until she's better. And then I'm going to transfer her to one of my mid-levels. And I think he saw you for about a year, didn't he?
Close to a year.
Yeah. And she got better. She threw that wheelchair out.
Look at her.
But you had a cane for a while.
No, I couldn't hold the cane.
Oh.
So I decided one day, I said, fuck the wheelchair. And I said, I'm just going to walk. Even though I was walking like a toddler, learning how to walk.
Yeah.
Because of the balance and my strength. But I was like, I have to learn how to walk again. I refuse to let that wheelchair be my permanent situation. Like I refused.
What kind of battle did you have to go through?
Oh, it was huge. Cigna wanted to deny her every single time, but I knew that if Dr. Bach told me her diagnosis and what the treatment was, and I had already done it 2 other times that year, I said, I can do this. I can freaking do it. And we just fought. And they finally got it done.
Finally.
I remember her first treatment, you brought donuts, and I was the only one that got your joke. Because Julie's like, Claudia, go hear the joke. And she's like, I didn't really get it. And then she's like, Mondays suck, donut they? And I was like,
any reason for donuts is a good reason for
Yes,
And
there's something to
I
that.
was like, Julie, donuts understand.
Well, it was amazing to have the win and I'm sure Cigna have they even called you and checked up on you?
The case, I think it was like a nurse case manager that was trying to, she asked me to ask you to cease fire on certain fronts.
I love
Really?
that. I never knew that.
And I told her when I'm done with treatment.
I didn't even know that. That's an amazing thing.
So
Cease fire. Guess what? You need a pretty big gun to get this old bitch to cease fire because I won't do it.
that goes back to making waves in a puddle.
Right. I mean, here's the thing. It's the right thing for you to have the treatment. I knew it. You knew it. Dr. Bach knew it. And here we have the Cigna case manager asking you to ask me to stand down.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Mm-hmm.
no, Cigna. We're not doing that.
No.
And I just remember your dad calling too, and he was so grateful. He like asked to speak to you, and you spoke with him, I'm pretty sure. And he even thanked me, and he was like, "Guys, thank you for everything." And he's like teary on the phone, and because I mean, I don't even know what he expected the outcome to be when he was wheeling you out.
He didn't know. We didn't know because we both had to watch my mom deteriorate and pass away in front of us. So he saw me and was like, "Oh my God, you look like your mom." And that was like, at that point, I was like, okay, I have to fight because I was ready to give up. I couldn't do anything for myself. But the way you guys were fighting for me, I said, if you guys are fighting for me like this, I have to fight for myself.
Yep.
Well, and it's extra scary because it's your own body betraying you. So you're the one thing you're supposed to be able to count on yourself. It was going against you.
Right.
So
the one place you have to live in the world is turning to shit.
I'm
sorry.
No, it's all good. I mean, you're such a success story. Your smile is so bright. And, she really got to know all of our nurses and stuff because we had her in here 5 days in a row, which is a lot for an infusion patient. And it was around the holidays. And you know what? We have become family.
You guys were amazing.
Again.
Yeah.
I didn't like hugs, and then
really, not you.
It was after my brother had passed, and I was just kind of like mad at the world.
Yeah.
And then like I saw you come in, and we just like connected, and I just run up to you and give you the biggest comforting hug, and it was like we had each other. It was our relationships with
patients. They're deep. But
every patient that sat over there with me in the infusion center told me how great everyone in this office was. So it wasn't just limited to my experience. You guys kick ass for everybody.
Well, we tried. We tried really hard, but you are such a success story. And when Dr. Bach says this is what this patient needs, he's not playing around. He knows what the formula is. And Cigna could have cared less.
They did not care.
Didn't the neurologist send her away?
Oh.
They just dropped the ball. They didn't call Cigna to try to get the prior auth. They told me I didn't have to have the lumbar puncture, which you guys had to call Dr. Salisi.
Right.
That was a whole situation in itself, but they dropped the ball. They just kind of just left me. And you called me and said, did they schedule you? You know what? Never mind. Let me call you back. And then you called me back and said, Dr. Salisi said, come over to the ball right now. They're going to do your lumbar puncture.
And doctor, this is an ER doctor who's amazing. He is an amazing person.
He's an angel.
And he's a great friend of Dr. Bach's. And Dr. Bach called him up and said, Milton, I need you to do this LP, which is a lumbar puncture on this patient, so we can finally get Cigna over the line here. I know what she has, but Cigna wants proof because they know better than everyone. And as busy as that ER was over there, tell them what happened.
Well, I have complications because my spinal fusion surgery. So they had me in a trauma bay with a gunshot victim on the other side of the curtain, and I'm leaning over the edge of the table because I couldn't lay because of my spinal fusion. The nurse cradled me in her arms, and he did my lumbar puncture on the side of their bed. Mm-hmm. He had to stick me twice because the first time he hit the bone graft, but we got it done right there. Mm-hmm. And the guy on the other side of the curtain was coding, and he was just don't move. I know you're worried about the guy over the corner, but don't move.
move.
Just be careful, just breathe. And we got it done.
And what do you know? The results showed she was positive for the disease that Dr. Bach said she was, but stupid Cigna wanted to be certain. But for the relationship between Dr. Bach and the ER doctor, she could have been sitting in that ER waiting room
for 5 minutes.
Yeah, she waited 5 minutes instead of probably 20 hours.
The waiting room was packed.
And Dr. Sleece plucked you out of there.
He came out and looked for me. The triage nurse was taking my blood pressure. He said, I'm looking for this young lady by the name of, and I was like, I'm right here. He said, let's sneak you back before anybody realizes I took you. And I signaled to my granddad. I was like, hey, I'm going back. And he's like, already? I'm like, yeah, just go. I'll call you when I need you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that is the power of relationship medicine. And that's what we do here. We have relationships because your neurologist was too busy to deal with it.
Yeah. And I felt like I had a team, like you guys were Team Dom.
Yep. Yes, we were. And look at you now. An amazing, amazing success story. And we ended up actually dropping Cigna, and she cash pays to see us because we had to drop Cigna because of their administrative burdens. And I'm thinking, you're still at BJC,
Mm-hmm.
and is there any dust-ups about the insurance over there? I would think that people hate it.
We do, and we expect more from an employer such as, but that's the only insurance that they offer. So we deal. And I self-pay to come see you guys because I don't want to see anyone else.
Well, it's because you trust us, and that's what we do here. We are trusted patients in physicians' offices. She has my cell phone. My cell phone's on the back of our business cards, okay? If she's got a problem, she can text me, she can call me, she can send me a carrier pigeon. I'm gonna be responsive because that's what Dr. Bach wants us to do here. And that's why Dr. Bach has 24 people to support 1MD, because that's what it freaking takes.
I almost tear up every time I see her, just because it's so special. Like, you are so special, and your smile does make everyone's day that's around. Like, you're just sunshine.
I'm just so grateful to be here. I'm just so grateful to you guys. And I'm just so grateful for everything. I'm just so grateful for everything. I wouldn't be here.
You wouldn't.
I wouldn't be here.
You wouldn't. You are a success story. You are a success story.
Thank you so much.
Love you. Love you
so much.
Love you. Love you.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That in itself.
To go from wheelchair-ridden, being pushed by your dad, to
and you really started turning the corner.
Dr. Bach said she can see
my mid levels.
My mid levels. If anything ever happens to her, guess who she's going to be back with? She's going to be back with Dr. Bach. Nothing is going to happen, but nothing is going to happen. But you know what? If it does, we're going to fix it.
No doubt. Yeah.
Why don't we start off with you telling them who you are?
My name is Julie Bach. I am the practice manager and bathroom monitor of the Arthritis Center in St. Louis, Missouri. We're actually in Bridgeton, Missouri. It's a little suburb in St. Louis. We serve working class people in a beautiful environment.
It's a smaller city too, right?
Bridgeton?
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a working class neighborhood, and we're very close to the St. Louis airport.
Well, and you're making waves in a puddle.
We are making waves in a puddle, and I'm doing it with a bad knee, but cute shoes today.
So we're going to talk about health insurance in layman's terms. Can you kind of explain what is alternative funding?
So alternative funding is where you have like a middleman in between the middleman, which is the PBM, and the physician. So, alternative funding is not good for patients, and it's really not good for the employers. What they've done is they've carved out typically specialty drugs and said, we're going to let this, what I like to call interlopers, someone that doesn't belong in the healthcare space, we're going to let these interlopers manage this spend. Usually alternative funding is going to be things like copay accumulators, which are terrible, and double dipping, getting more money for the PBMs, which we hate PBMs. We particularly hate OptumRx, Express Scripts, and Accredo are my personal favorite to hate, and CVS Caremark. Those three are just making bank off everyone. Alternative funding is copay accumulators, which are double dipping for the PBMs, copay maximizers, which will bleed the copay savings card for the patient and use it in the first couple months of the year, and the patient will then be stuck with thousands of dollars. Then they'll come off therapy because they've accumulated all of the funds very quickly, not for the patient, for the alternative funder. And they also do things like they do bad things for patient assistance programs. So some of the interlopers and these alternative funders are like Archimedes, Vivio, Scout RX, Smith RX. I mean, it's like whack-a-mole, Payer Matrix,
Proact.
I mean, they're just EIEIO. These are just a middleman in between the middleman and an interloper who is harming patients.
How did it start and how has it changed?
How has alternative funding started?
Mm-hmm.
I think it really came to be like a little bit more vogue in about 4 years ago. My first run-in with the alternative funders was in 2021, in January of 2021. And it was with Vivio. Vivio, VIVIO, is a alternative funder, and they were actually got a contract from the employer Southern Scripps. And I have a patient that we've had for years. He's a captain, a riverboat captain for Southern Towing. And did I just say Southern Scripps? That's wrong. Southern Towing. And Vivio somehow conned the Southern Towing HR department into giving them the rights to direct their specialty drugs. So what Vivio did was, and I have a whole case on this, Vivio did, they went in and said, oh, we don't care that this captain has been on Orencia stable for 36 months. We want him to go to do a non-medical switch to Remicade. What? We don't do shit like that. So I dug down and did a whole thing on that. And
what is a non-medical switch?
A non-medical switch, NMS, it's when a patient is stable on, like this case, a drug called Orencia with maltose. And if you're stable and in rheumatology space on a drug, we don't switch you because your stupid PBM or your alternative funder, Vivio in this case, who's going to make more money somewhere else.
What's a PBM?
PBMs are pharmacy benefit managers.
So these PBMs put some access to or barriers to access to care, and how are they doing that?
So, access to care is kind of the like umbrella of the politically correct way to say what they're doing. What they're doing is narrowing the network, okay? They're narrowing the patient's choice. And not only are they narrowing the patient's choice, but these alternative funders like Vivio, I got into a big tangle with one of their pharmacists, and he's like, oh, well, I know that this drug, Remicade, will be better for the captain than Orencia. And I'm like, no, you don't know that. You're not a rheumatologist, and you have nothing to do with this patient. So the alternative funders, the Vivios, the Archimedes, all of these people, they are trying to make a non-medical switch to whatever they think they can make the most money on. And then they're selling, like, for example, Payer Matrix was selling, I don't know if they're still doing it, they're in litigation right now with J&J. They were selling the free drug from J&J to the freaking employers. Crazy.
So that's where prior authorization, referrals, step therapy.
It's all, we have prior authorization, which is permission slip for the doctor's prescription to be filled. Like, give me a break. If my doctor writes a prescription and sends it electronically to a pharmacy, we don't want to prior authorize it. That's our stupid insurance company and PBM inserting themselves in between the patient and the doctor. Prior authorization is nothing but a permission slip from the insurance company and the PBM for us to be able to give medicines to our patients, and give medicines like at the pharmacy where the claim is adjudicated. Adjudicated means that it's now you know how much you pay.
Well, and don't pharmacists have like a gag clause to where if they know you have insurance, they can't disclose the actual price?
Well, because of some litigation, they have actually more of them are able to, if the patient asks, God, this is expensive, is there any other option? Some of the states have that if the depending on state, we can't have anything nice in Missouri because it's the headquarters of Express Scripts, the largest, most rotten PBM in my world.
Well, and how do you think they've gotten as big as they have? How have they inserted themselves to where they're basically making medical decisions without being a doctor?
Because they are vertically aligned. So you've got Cigna owns Express Scripts, which also owns Accredo. So you've got Cigna members that are just, they are a customer and a vendor to themselves. So they get double dipped on this.
So that's not biased at all.
No, not at all. But things are changing with Express Scripts with this new J&J lawsuit. I'm so excited about it, but I know we're not here to talk about that.
Well, we can go a little bit into it actually, because it kind of fits what we're talking about.
Okay. Well, I also wanted to just share everybody. I got my mail yesterday. You know, people still do get mail at their house. I am 58 years old, and we got.
She authorizes this.
Yes, I'm the patient. 1 letter from Anthem, 2 letters from Anthem, 3 letters from Anthem, and a giant package of shit from Anthem. Okay. Let's just open this. This is the day. This is one day.
Well,
okay?
you get that electronically too, don't you?
Of course we get this electronically. And you know what? My healthcare dollars, my premiums are paying for Anthem to waste all of this paper and all this postage. I get to pay for this, okay? This is 7 pages of bullshit, all right? Here's the first page. It says nothing. The second page says nothing either, to get help in my language. Can't you people know what language I speak? Like, do I really need to have all of this shit in Farsi? I do not. I actually don't even need this crap in English, because I already know y'all denied this thing. Okay.
Well, and how confusing would that be for just our average person?
I mean, a whole page on it's important we treat you fairly. Well, guess what? You don't. I can't get anything. Okay. All right. You ready? Julie. That's me.
At least I got your name right.
We've reviewed your request. Your request is important and personal to you and us. Our decisions affect you. No shit, Anthem. All right? The results of their review. Our review showed that the care you've requested is, you ready for it? Not medically necessary. No shit. Okay, I already knew this. So they want to have details from my reviewer. All right. Questions, just call the number on the back of your card. This is all nonsense. Okay. This is the MRI of my knee that I'm still wearing a knee brace for that they denied. Do I want an appeal?
Well,
Page 6 and 7 tells you how to do it.
What percentage of doctors actually go through with an appeal?
1%. Okay, so that was the first 7 pages of bullshit. I already knew before I opened the mail that they denied my MRI. Okay, here's another 5 pages included with the 7 pages. Once again, don't need it in Farsi. Perhaps I need it in German. No, I failed German in high school, I think.
She is German.
Yeah, actually I am. All right, so thanks for trusting us with your health care. I don't frickin' trust you, Anthem. All you do is deny everything. I'm not interested in any of this. So this is 2 of my MRIs that they denied.
Well, I love how they're thanking you for letting them deny your MRI that you needed.
Yeah. I mean, no thanks. No thanks.
What gives them the power to deny your treatment if your doctor wanted you to?
Because they know better. All of this is unnecessary. Okay, all of this paper, we're destroying the planet. I'm paying for all of this with my higher premiums. Now I have to pay in my office to recycle it. Let's move on to letter number 2 that was received yesterday for my insurance, Anthem. I'm sure it's garbage. Let's see, what do they want now? If I want this in a different language, oh my God, this is so crazy. We're here for you. You are not here for me. Mm-hmm. If you were here for me, you would know that I don't need this in Japanese. I need y'all to just pay for and approve my MRI. But guess what? You didn't.
How much did you pay for your MRI?
I finally, when I got 1 of the 3 MRIs my doctors wanted me to have, and I ended up, my patient cost after all of this nonsense with Anthem was $393. Had I just cash paid it and not dealt with all the BS delays, it would have been $400. So I saved $7 while I screwed around with them forever. But wait, there's more. Understand, this is all from my mailbox yesterday.
And how confusing for like your parents, for instance.
Oh my God, my parents would be would lose their mind. Oh, this is just a stupid thing for taxes that says I have health insurance. Well, thank God we know I have health insurance, because it isn't worth the frickin' paper it's written on. All right, so this isn't related to a denial. This is my health coverage, that I have health coverage. Good to know that you're destroying trees and saying that, do I need this in Polish or Punjabi? Punjabi? how do you say that? Punjab.
Punjabi.
You're just making
Okay.
that up. Oh, and
All
here's
right.
this is Dr. Bach's important tax document from Anthem. Okay, this isn't about a denial. This is just them sending this stupid form. Why can't you electronically just send me this form? No, they can't. So we waste 3 different pieces of paper, and you know what?
They're there for him too. He speaks Spanish.
Yeah, Anthem is here for Dr. Bach, and if he wants to have this in Haitian, or in Italian, or tag along. I don't even know what tag-along is.
Is Pig Latin on there?
No, Pig Latin isn't. Armenian, Russian, French, Farsi. It's
I speak a
important
little
we
French.
treat you fairly. Well, this piece of paper doesn't mean shit. This does not mean you treat me fairly. You treat me like shit.
How long do you
deny my
think it
care.
would take for you to get something in a different language?
Oh my God, I can't even get it in English. Okay, so that was opening up my personal mail and Dr. Bach's personal mail from yesterday. No, thank you.
Well, Elaine, it just seems a little bit overwhelming. I can understand why patients
Just
signed up
throw
for
it all out.
Medicare
Disadvantage
plan. And do you want to kind of go into that?
We can certainly talk about Medicare Disadvantage. Okay, so when you're 65 or if you're disabled, you are eligible to have Medicare as your insurance. So there's traditional Medicare, and if you have traditional Medicare, that only pays for 80% of your charges. So you have to get a supplemental plan, which is called a secondary. So the big trend is that or Medicare Disadvantage. And in St. Louis alone, there are over 400 different Medicare Disadvantage plans. So you see all these people on TV peddling this shit insurance called Medicare Advantage. It is not Medicare and it's not an advantage. It's Medicare Disadvantage. Instead of paying for the whole thing, the patient becomes the secondary. So you have to spend your out-of-pocket before they'll pay for anything. And then you also get all of these denials. With traditional Medicare and a supplemental plan, your physician, whatever their prescription is, that's going to be covered because there are no prior authorizations in traditional Medicare. Whole different ball of wax in Medicare Disadvantage. It's all prior authorizations, all time, all one size fits all. It doesn't matter what your individual circumstances are. If you're in a Medicare Disadvantage plan, you will be delayed and denied, and you will be funneled into one size fits all.
Who owns the Medicare Disadvantage plans?
So lots of people own Medicare Disadvantage plans. All the big 3 players, the Bucas, the Blues, United, Cigna, Humana, I don't know what they're doing. They're on a freaking banana peel, and Aetna. But you'll see even like hospital systems, like SSM has their own Medicare Disadvantage plan called WellCare. I even saw one that LabCorp is now selling a Medicare Disadvantage plan. I mean, it literally, I feel like Medicare Disadvantages are like some guy with the suit coat selling fake watches going, which one of these do you want? And the brokers that are selling these Medicare Disadvantage plans, I get it. They're trying to make a living too, and they get $601 commission for every patient that they can flip to Medicare Disadvantage. And if they only make, $80 to sign someone up for regular traditional Medicare and a supplement, well, by the strike of a pen and a little bit of legalese, they can say, pushing patients into Medicare Disadvantage. My parents did it.
Well, for a shoehorn, right?
And then they get a plastic shoehorn that says United Healthcare on it and then my dad actually thinks that's worth it. I'm like, Dad, you traded all of your clinical choices of therapy for this plastic shoehorn that says United Healthcare.
Well, and it's kind of salesmen going after disabled and the elderly, if you think about it. I mean, they play it out to be just as good as Medicare, regular Medicare, that they're not going to have any premium, all of this. But then what do you run in owning or being part of?
Oh my God, the administrative burdens are tenfold in a Medicare Disadvantage plan for my office, for an office that provides chronic patients. If you're not sick and you don't need health care, Medicare Disadvantage is for you because you're not going to get shit on it anyway. You hear these Medicare Disadvantage plans that say we're a 5-star. 5-star my ass, okay? Answer the phone, pay for the patient's care, let them get treatment. That's how the stars should be written, but they're not. It's a bunch of administrators and middlemen upon middlemen inserting themselves between the physicians and the patients.
It's kind of run by the pharmacy benefit managers too, right?
It's run by pharmacy benefit managers in these vertically aligned insurance companies. But there's all sorts of, 400 Medicare Disadvantage plans in our market of St. Louis, Missouri. Like what? We're not even like, a A or B city. We're like a C-level city population-wise.
Why do you think there's so many?
Because it's so wicked profitable for the people running the show. And this is a money-making machine. The taxpayers are paying the bill. And so these people that are running these Medicare Disadvantage plans are just making bank off the taxpayers.
And when you sign up for a Medicare Disadvantage plan, aren't you not able to use like the manufacturer's patient assistance?
You can't use the manufacturer's patient assistance. And that's why if you had traditional Medicare, you'd have a supplemental plan to cover you at 100%. But this Medicare Disadvantage, you can't use any manufacturers, and you are the secondary. You are getting your checkbook out if you think you're going to get care.
With the PBMs, even like when your employer pays for your plan or pays for half of it, you're still stuck going through a PBM.
100%.
Do you think everyone's aware of how much they're kind of getting taken advantage of by the pharmacy benefit managers?
Well, I think the advocacy is really bringing more of this into light, but this has been a runaway train for decades. And I'm really excited about this new piece of litigation that was filed 2 days ago by some J&J, Johnson & Johnson employees against the 3 fiduciary responsible employees at J&J for wasting the healthcare dollars and making the sickest patients pay for the health plan.
The number was outrageous. Could you kind of explain? It was like $28.
So, I mean, this is a 74-page petition of this lawsuit, and it was filed in the District of New Jersey. Like, I would love to be going here and watching this, but I'm sure that it's going to be just a mess. I'm giddy over the whole thing. Last night I read 62 of the 74 pages. But if you just look at page 2, the PBMs reveal a pattern of unreasonable markups. Okay, the defendants in this J&J case have been made to pay a 498% markup above what it costs pharmacies to acquire the drugs.
So that's percent. That's not even dollars.
That's not dollars. That is percent, like almost 500%. Okay, so this is like,
where does that money go?
It goes straight into the PBM's pocket. Like just this one example, and they have great examples in this petition. One example is that if you had a cash price not using insurance, and your doctor wrote the prescription to Mark Cuban Cost Plus, you can get a 90-day supply of this medicine for $28.40. That's without insurance. The minute you present your insurance card, if you're a J&J employee, using a J&J plan, you're mandated to Express Scripts or Accredo, and the same medicine J&J agreed to pay $10,259.69. What? Something that you could get for under $30 for a 90-day supply. These morons are paying $10,000 for it, but more importantly, the patient has to pay $17.25 on that prescription every 3 months.
So that seems absolutely unbelievable.
It's not unbelievable.
Is this like reality. A one case?
No, this is not one case.
Or do you think this is going to blow up?
This is going to blow up, and I am here for it. Get your popcorn out. I cannot wait to see what happens.
Can you explain what a fiduciary is?
Yes. So a fiduciary is somebody that is in an ERISA plan. Well, maybe ERISA. I need to define ERISA too. Okay, let's go back to an ERISA plan. What that does is that is designed to put an end to the mismanagement and to protect the interests of the employee benefit plan participants, not the employer, certainly not the rotten Express Scripts, but to protect the people. You know, we saw this a decade ago with lawsuits over 401ks and got sweeping change with the industry. This is the beginning of the end. And it just makes me so happy to have the PBMs have to come to the table. So courts have referred ERISA's fiduciary duties as, quote unquote, the highest known in the law. That means the standard is here for everything, but ERISA, the standard is here. So who's ever making these decisions with these stupid pharmacy benefit managers, they're supposed to be seeking the lowest level of cost for the prescriptions and the services provided. Okay. In this case, and I'm reading from the petition, involves the mismanagement of prescription drug benefits. Okay. It's cost the employees millions of dollars at J&J. There's 130,000 employees at J&J. And it has resulted in higher premiums for the patients, higher coinsurance for the patients, higher copays for the patients, and are you ready? And lower wages or limited growth with your wages because J&J is spending all their money for the yachts and the private planes of the folks over at Express Scripts.
So is that why we've seen insurance prices, like the cost go up like 50%, I believe was the study recently?
Absolutely. I mean, even in our own insurance that we offer for our employees, we just had an 18% premium increase. And for what? So they can pay for all that shitty mail to be delivered to my house to tell me you're this in Farsi. You want us to tell you no in Farsi? I gotta believe that no in Farsi is probably no. Well, what is no in Farsi? I'm gonna call my girlfriend Soraya and ask her, how do you say no in Farsi?
And it's not even beneficial to you because you saved what, $7? How much do you pay monthly?
I pay like $1,800 monthly for my insurance
to save her $7.
Yeah. What? Do I get any benefit? No, I don't get any benefit unless I get hit by a truck or a bus. So, I mean, I am not a expert in anything except patient care, and I do it one patient at a time. All I'm doing is my frickin' job to get these patients the care they need.
What do you do that's different from other offices?
Well, what I do that's different is that I have 24 people that support one MD in a rheumatology practice. It's kind of some crazy support there, but that's what it takes to get through the administrative burdens of the insurance companies and the PBMs.
That's absolute 25 people for one doctor.
24 and a dog. Yeah, and that's just that are in this office. I have a background team. I have remote medical assistants that I'm not counting. I have a background team in Houston that helps with prior authorizations for the infusions. I have a remote nurse practitioner that lives in Florida that does our telemedicine. I mean, we have got the administrative burden is literally like a brick on my neck, but I'm in it to win it. And we have an advocacy department in this office, and it is me, and it is Claudia, and sometimes Bunny, the dog. But most practices don't have 2 full-time employees working on this, but we do.
And how have you seen social media help you with advocating?
Well, Twitter became the new prior authorization. Let me think about this. My girlfriend, Nilsa, who's in Wisconsin and does the same job that I do. Hopefully she'll come on our podcast here. She said to me, you need to be on Twitter. So I was like, I'm not going to be on Twitter. So I joined Twitter in January of 2020. Okay. I've never had any social media. It's not been my thing. So 4 years ago, we joined Twitter. We only have 681 followers, but the most important thing about it is if we redact a case and put it out on here, we get the insurance companies and the PBM saying, can we take this offline and help? Well, yes, you can. You could have helped the first 100 times we did it, but we're in it to win it. This is how you get change. It's on social media, on podcasts, on Instagram, on TikTok.
It's because, people are we're educating people on what's actually happening at a doctor's office. Most doctor's offices wouldn't even go through the prior authorization process, if we're honest.
Well, right, because they don't have the bench strength to do it. I mean, listen, they've got limited staff, and who is going to want to tangle up with these insurance companies? Well, I do, and there's great people that work at the insurance companies, but the leadership is not so great because they're making the decisions. I've met some amazing nurses that work for insurance companies that are like, I'm embarrassed to tell you that we are going to just deny this. Here's what you need to do. You need to do a second line appeal, or you need to do a peer-to-peer, or what you need to do. They want to do good for their job. They want to make a difference. I mean, I come into work every day knowing I'm going to make a positive difference.
Can you kind of explain what a peer-to-peer is and
an appeal?
Yeah.
Okay, so the initial prescription Dr. Bach electronically sends, and then the insurance company bounces it back and says, oh, no, you can't possibly have XYZ drug. Let's do methotrexate. Methotrexate is a super cheap drug, and the way we use it in this office is in really low doses. Typically, somebody that's like my size would get like 6 pills a week. They want us to prior authorize it. There's one Medicare Disadvantage plan that it requires 7 pages. Yeah, that's right. 7 pages of us filling out their shitty forms for this patient to get methotrexate advantage. It is bad news. So instead of just letting these patients have the methotrexate, and how we write it is, again, somebody my size would get 3 pills in the morning, like you pick a day and you take it. It's a once weekly dose. So for today, you would take 3 pills in the morning on Wednesday, if that's my methotrexate day, and then 3 pills in the evening. And we split the dose like this so it doesn't have so many side effects on the stomach, and, you know, just trying to make it more tolerable. But methotrexate, that small dose, that weekly dose, this is not expensive medicine, and it really helps a lot of people.
So what is the future of healthcare to you?
The future of healthcare is direct care and direct contracting with physicians and the pharmacists doing the actual work. I see that the self-funded employers, this whole J&J lawsuit is going to topple, or at least half these big PBMs, and everybody's already on notice that they're crooks. And this lawsuit is going to change the landscape, because you're going to see the self-funded employers line up and say, no, we are not wasting our employees' healthcare dollars or in our employees' future raises. So direct contracting with the people doing the work, membership-based monthly fees to the people doing the work, or direct contracts where the employees can come to see a specialist or primary care with 0 copay and 0 patient insurance.
And you've seen success with that.
Huge success with that. I mean, you know, our patient here, she pays $75 cash to see, to have an office visit here. And now I don't have to screw around with her insurance company, which I don't even accept anymore, Cigna. I don't have to screw around with pharmacy benefit managers. We send her prescriptions to her maintenance prescriptions to an independent pharmacy or to Mark Cuban's Cost Plus, and she cash pays that. And she is paying premiums through her salary to Cigna for them to deny care for her. So she's like, forget it. I'm just going to come directly to you guys. That's the future of healthcare, is we get employers. I'm an employer. I want good healthcare for myself and for my employees. They're in decent health. They're going to show up for work more. We're going to be able to help more patients. And we're certainly paying a lot to have Anthem deny our patients. I'm a patient. I got all that denial stuff. So I think that we're going to see a change to direct care and cutting out the middleman of the insurance companies and the PBMs.
Well, and that's kind of why we were starting this podcast, is to educate and inform everyone. So you'll see a variety of people, I'm sure. I know a couple I've already reached out to, Loretta. I know Nilza will, as long as we keep the cussing down.
Right.
And so I'm really excited about this, Julie. Thank you for taking so much time out of your day for me to ask you so many questions. And I know
always
you have the pile of mail waiting for you. Mm-hmm. So it's our first episode. It's completed.
Welcome to one of many.
One of many.